You know that feeling when your English grammar is totally on point, but something just sounds a little off? It's a super common frustration, and it's because there's a kind of secret code hidden in the language. Well, today, we're going to crack that code wide open.
Okay, so let's just dive right in with a puzzle that I promise you every single English learner has stumbled over. It's a real head-scratcher.
So think about this. Fast and quick. They're synonyms, right? And quick food is, well, it's grammatically perfect, but nobody says it. It just sounds weird, clunky. And this isn't a rule you're going to find in your average grammar textbook. So what is going on here?
And trust me, this isn't some one-off thing. This pattern is everywhere in English. For example, we talk about heavy rain, never strong rain. You make a mistake, you don't do a mistake, and you drink strong coffee, not powerful coffee. It's like there's this invisible logic, this set of unwritten rules that decides which words are allowed to hang out together.
Well, it turns out there's a solution to this whole puzzle, and it all comes down to the company that words choose to keep.
That secret ingredient, it's called a collocation. The easiest way to think about them is like words that have become best friends over time. They're word partners that show up together so often that any other combination, even if it's technically fine, just feels wrong. It's not about grammar rules, it's all about habit.
You know, the linguist J.R. Firth nailed this idea perfectly way back in 1957. He said, "You shall know a word by the company it keeps." The word's real meaning and how you're supposed to use it is totally defined by its neighbors, by its regular partners. Heavy means something specific when it's next to rain, just like strong does when it's sitting next to coffee.
So here's the big mental shift you need to make. Stop thinking about single words and start seeing these word partners. Think of them as pre-made chunks of language. When a native speaker says make a decision, they aren't actually putting those three words together one by one. Nope. They're just grabbing one single pre-assembled unit from their brain. It's like putting your language on autopilot. So we know what they are. But why is this so critical? Why should you care? Well, because this is your absolute secret weapon for sounding truly fluent. Honestly, mastering collocations is what separates someone who is pretty good at English from someone who is truly advanced. They are the bridge that takes you from sounding just correct to sounding completely natural. And because your brain is using these ready-made chunks, it frees up so much mental energy. You're not building every sentence from scratch. This lets you speak way more smoothly. Plus, they add precision. Excruciating pain is so much more vivid than just bad pain. And you've got to know them to understand native speakers because they use them constantly without even thinking about it. All right, if this is our secret weapon, we need to understand how it's built, right? Let's break down the blueprint of how these word partnerships actually work, and more importantly, where people usually get tripped up. So linguists have spotted a few core patterns here. You've got adjectives that love to hang out with nouns, like heavy rain, verbs that pair up with nouns, like commit a crime, even adverbs that team up with adjectives, like utterly ridiculous. Now, you don't need to memorize all these categories, but just seeing the structure helps you start noticing these patterns all over the place.
And now for the traps. And let's start with a classic, the epic battle between do and make. For so many learners, this is a constant headache.
Just take a look at this. You do your homework, but you make a mistake. You do business, but you make money. Now, there are some loose rules, like make is often about creating something new, and do is often for tasks. But honestly, the real reason is just because. That's how the partnerships have developed over hundreds of years. The real key is to learn them as a fixed pair. The second huge trap is thinking that synonyms are interchangeable. As we saw with fast and quick, this is a surefire way to sound awkward. This is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Strong and powerful are pretty similar words, right? But they have different partners. Coffee is strong, an engine is powerful, rain is heavy, and noise is loud. Each of these nouns has its own preferred adjective partner, and mixing them up is an instant signal that English isn't your first language. Okay, so we've seen what they are, why they are absolutely vital, and we've looked at the big traps to avoid. Now for the really good stuff. How do you actually get good at using them? Here's a simple 4-step action plan for you. First, become a collocation detective. When you're reading or listening, actively hunt for these word pairs and write them down. Second, and this is huge, learn in chunks. Don't just learn the word mistake. Burn the whole phrase, make a mistake, into your brain as one unit. Third, get the right tools. A Collocations dictionary is built for this exact purpose. It's an amazing resource. And finally, you gotta put them to work. The absolute best way to make a new collocation stick is to use it yourself right away in a sentence.
So you see, collocations aren't just some boring linguistic curiosity. They are the very fabric of fluent, natural English. They are the difference between speaking the language and truly owning it. So the real question isn't just about what you learned today. It's about what you're going to do with it. What word partnerships will you start listening for, and which ones will you build next?